And more importantly, to make sure that people aren't tiptoeing around the dollar outside of the country, the US must have representation in cryptocurrency, and they need to do so quickly. Welcome back, YouTube. So in today's video, we're going to unpackage Biden's executive order, and we're also going to go over what I think it means and go over some pros and cons of the potential legislation that we have coming forward. So going over pretty much the introduction, we're going to see that President Biden to sign the executive order ensuring responsible development of digital assets. Digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, have seen explosive growth in the recent years, surpassing 3 trillion market cap last November, up from 14 billion just 5 years prior. Surveys suggest that around 16% of adult Americans, approximately 40 million people, have invested in, traded, or used cryptocurrencies. Over 100 countries are exploring or piloting central bank digital currencies, a digital form of a country's sovereign currency. So this is something that I spoke about a year ago when I said that we're going to pretty much gain the attention of pretty much the Feds because of how quickly the cryptocurrency spectrum has been growing. I do believe that we're going. So, and just to put this into perspective, 3 trillion. The stock market is worth roughly 100 trillion on, looking say, a good or neutral day. We are roughly at 3% of that, in far less the time that it took the stock market to gain those assets. The stock market is a little over 100 years old. The crypto market is less than 20. And so when you have this kind of growth, especially something that the pretty much the chairman of the SEC has referred to as the Wild West, you're going to gain the attention of the government, and they're going to come in and have regulation. We're going to read some of the key points here, and then I'm going to get into the regulation. And by the way, if you want to read this for yourself, you can check this out at whitehouse.gov. But it just pretty much says protect U.S. consumers, investors, businesses, protect U.S. and global financial stability, and mitigate systematic risk, mitigate the illicit finance and national security risk posed by the illicit use of digital assets, promote U.S. leadership in technology and economic competitiveness to reinforce U.S. leadership in the global financial system. That's really big. We'll come back to that. Promote equitable access to safe and affordable financial services, support technological advances and ensure responsible development and use of digital assets, explore a U.S. currency bank digital currency. That's really key. Called that a year ago. Okay, and that's the last one. So so pretty much as far as what was being promoted like around like YouTube and a lot of different things, this turned out to be nothing of the sort of some type of restriction or ban on crypto. That was a bunch of BS, and this is why I say that you have to pretty much just verify the sources that you're getting your information from. People will post anything for clicks. I understand there can be a certain amount of fear in the market because of the unknown, but it turns out that pretty much everything that was being said has turned out to not be the case. But we were able to verify some things, especially some things if you've been following my channel for the last year, some things that I did say. We're going to focus on pretty much a couple of things because I believe this is intertwined. Where is it? Definitely the explore a U.S. central bank digital currency. And where is it up here? Yeah, promote U.S. leadership in technological and economic competitiveness to reinforce U.S. leadership in the global financial system. So if you follow my channel, I did a couple of videos on this, and I explained that throughout the course of history, really no superpower, no country has had a form of exchange pretty much pretty much out of the control of the realm of the government. They are always typically involved. Even when we went away from a gold-backed currency, as most countries do, they'll pretty much keep diluting the currency or expanding to the point where they can't afford for it to be on gold anymore, or they'll dilute the actual gold that they're using in the coins to make more of them. Same thing, just different principles. We do that now just by adding zeros on the computer. But there's always representation, always. We've seen this recently with the price of gold that has gold and nickel and stuff like that hitting all-time highs. Gold peaked at over $2,000. And you'll see that, okay, we have two options for gold. Now you can buy your basic bullion coins, your bars and stuff like that, but you also have the opportunity to buy gold from the U.S. Mint, known as gold eagles, silver eagles. I can't say all, but a lot of countries have their own official not US mint, excuse me, their own official country's mint of gold and silver. Canadian maple leaves, the Australian Philharmonic, the Cougarin. It's a lot. They're all out there at different places. The Chinese panda, all of them. These countries, they have their own representation inside the gold and silver market. Why? Because gold and silver historically is known as real money. It's known as a hedge against inflation. People typically run to gold and silver when the printing presses get a little crazy. That's where people go. Countries like to have representation in everything that it is used as a mediation of exchange. The United States, however, has been very slow to act. You can say that it's rumored that Russia owns about 20% of Bitcoin, and technically you can say it's pretty much a Chinese asset, despite how many slick laws they put banning it. Ethereum was obviously, you can pretty much classify that as a Russian asset just because of the creator, and depending on how much Ethereum and stuff like that he still owns and the counterparties. But you look at the sum total between Bitcoin and Ethereum, you have over 60% of the entire crypto market's net worth with no US representation. That is a problem, especially for the petrodollar, or for the dollar to be the reserve currency of the world, and everyone's trading in and out of the dollar before they go into different currencies, or for oil and stuff like that. The United States, from a technical standpoint, just from an advantage standpoint, to make sure that they're not getting left behind, and more importantly, to make sure that people aren't tiptoeing around the dollar outside of the country, the US must have representation in cryptocurrency, and they need to do so quickly. They mentioned this last year that they were going to do research in this, and we see that this is coming along steadily, especially at the pace at which crypto is growing. I believe crypto will be a $10 trillion asset sometime within the next 2 to 3 years. People always ask, what does that mean for Bitcoin? What does that mean for our favorite coin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano? What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that there's going to be it's pretty much what there already is. There's a competition for different functions. This is why I made the video consolidation of the crypto market, and you're going to have several of the cryptos are going to settle into specific niches to be used for specific purposes, and a lot of the other ones are going to go bye-bye. This is why I always say, make sure you're investing in quality. Make sure that your coin has leadership, vision, utility, community. Make sure your coin has these things. When you're investing in these cash grabs, this is especially if we're threatening like a recession or a war or something like that, a lot of these coins are not going to make it. So be careful with that. But outside of crypto and the representation that is ultimately going to be needed just for the US to remain competitive in this market, this new financial market, really, not to mention taxes. And then you'll see things like, oh my God, well, it's for integrity and risk to businesses. And, they'll probably start doing something with like, okay, with drug trafficking, all that stuff. Yeah, that may be true. But ultimately, for the sake of the dollar pretty much existing outside of our country, the United States has to compete. That's no longer an if and. They cannot afford to drag their feet on this. Now, this is not to say that some beneficial things are not going to come from regulation. We could certainly use regulation in the crypto market. There's been rug pulls right and left. If the developers decide there can be next to no integrity as far as what you name your coin, what you use for branding. In the stock market, I can't name a coin Baby Walmart or Walmart 2.0 and stuff like that. You're going to get sued into oblivion. There needs to be some type of laws and regulations in there to prevent these types of, this type of BS from entering into the market, because ultimately a lot of people are getting taken for a ride, and there's rug pulls right and left. And then when we start seeing like these suits and all that kind of stuff pile up, this will open up the doors to kind of speed up that process. But typically what we're seeing right now is not abnormal. We've seen this with like the .com boom in the 2000s, all these websites and stuff like that were popping up on the exchange. Then we had like the crash and the correction, and most of them went bye-bye, never to hear from again. And of course, the ones that had leadership, vision, utility, community, stuff like that, those survived and moved on. So I believe that we're going to have that consolidation here in the market. Whether or not the White House is going to play a part in that depends on how quickly they move. But I do believe they're going to be moving quickly just for the sake of being competitive. Biden's executive order in sum total is pretty much just an outline of the areas that they're going to focus on. This doesn't say anything specific as far as what they're going to do as of yet, but rest assured, you have not heard the last of these. You have not seen the last of these executive orders, and you certainly have not heard the last from the feds. There have been a lot of changes made to the stock market over the last few months, over the last year, and we have to make sure and keep an eye on things like this when it comes to the crypto market to make sure that we don't create a mirror of the laws and the way things are done in the stock market that we don't like, that we don't have a mirror of that in the crypto market. And that's really up to us to make sure that we stay on top of these things and make sure that we're speaking out on things that can potentially lead the crypto market to not be in the retail's favor. And then you have like delusions come in here and they start doing ETFs and fractional reserves and stuff like that, and they start diluting the market like crazy. This is how you lose control of assets, and this is how you turn over the power of crypto really to hedge funds and to whales. So we have to make sure that we don't have a repeat of the market that we already have. And of course, you can count on me. I will certainly be here, and we'll be breaking these down as they come. If you found value in this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want more, share this video with a friend, and also check out BlockFi. If you open an account with them, you can get up to $250 in some of your favorite crypto, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, and until next time.